How have you been dealing with the changes and just adapting your firm to these events? You just did a panel actually with Judge Tabador, who was head of the union, one of the chief judges with USCIS. What did you guys actually talk about? Let's talk about that first. What happened? Is that coming up? Has that already happened? The panel you had with her?
Yeah, we had that last Thursday, I believe it was. So just a few days, the end of October. And we talked about trends in immigration. So the nonprofit also collects data and publishes trends, especially with the courts. And we're seeing some spikes in things that we hadn't seen before. And so we were talking about a spike in what's called abandonment, which is a way to code a case, I guess you could say, in the data that says that a person or a person in court or a person who filed their asylum application abandon their case. Now, traditionally, abandonment is for maybe people who don't show up to immigration court. Say, okay, that they've been abandoned. But in recent weeks and months, there's a lot more abandonment happening. And we're trying to track what's going on there. And for example, the new fees from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, there's a lot of fees for immigration cases. I think you probably know about this. You probably talked about it. And these fees are maybe like the lack of payment or failure to pay a fee could result in abandonment. I think that actually has started, and we have to see if that picks up. Is that going to be a widespread trend? Another potential trend that we're seeing is where the government is encouraging the judges to open a case and to find it deficient on its face. The application didn't fill out a field, or maybe there's something that the judge doesn't like in the application about what it says about why they're applying for asylum. And so instead of giving them a full hearing date where they can explain everything, which is traditionally how it's been, and that's what the courts are designed to do, they said before you even get to the hearing date, a judge can look at the application and deem it abandoned. And if that becomes widespread, then you could be seeing a completely changed immigration court system in the United States, where the vast majority of cases are not even going to court.
Yeah.
There's something else is happening behind the scenes in a judge's chambers that we may not have access to.
There's thousands and thousands of cases that even lawyers have filed that are skeleton filings because the 1 year clock might be running, so they got to get it in, or it takes time for people to prep the case properly. So let's get this in to lock it in, and then we'll update the record. But that could really hit them really hard at that point if that's the case.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That was the term that judges would say. This is a skeletal application, or submit a skeletal application, and for years. And so to me, it strikes me as patently unfair for the system to be designed a way that's been operating for 25 years. And then everyone knows and understands how that system is. And to say, okay, no, actually, we're going to change that. And if we decide that you did something that we don't like now, then your case is thrown out. And changing the rules of the game when you're playing the game.
Yeah, there's one thing to say from now on after this filing date and stuff like that, but I'm sure there's going to be lawsuits probably happening anytime soon because I've seen people posting on case termination and removal orders coming for people in this kind of situation for not paying the fee, and it's just throwing everyone off. So those lawsuits are probably coming soon.
I'm sure there are. There's lots of different methods that we see happening all at once. I think one of the most effective methods of creating a procedural deficiency, if you will, is by scaring people to go to court, from going to court. So I see that not necessarily with my clients because they know that they're going to go with an attorney who can see what's going on and help them. But when I go to court now, for the master hearings are preliminary hearings where the judge is trying to understand like who you are, who's your family, where do you live, that type of thing, where they're not even discussing the merits of the case. Those are empty. So you can go into a courtroom and almost nobody's there. And I don't have an opportunity to talk to all those people, but the consensus is that people are very scared to go because they've seen some high profile people be removed from courthouses. You'll see it on the news where ICE is going to courthouses. And then you see deportations like the Garcia deportation to El Salvador, which is even more scary, right? Yeah, I don't want to go to a foreign prison where anything could happen to me. So there's lots of different ways to try to prevent people from having a day in court.
And that leads to an automatic in absentia removal order for not showing up in that master hearing. So they're deportable anyways, then that way. So
someone just asked me, is it worse to go or worse not to go? I said, well, it's worse not to go because if you go, the chances are not 100% at all that you're going to be picked up. But if you don't go, now you're on a list and now you have no defense.